Welcome to Western Wisconsin Journal. I'm Bobby Pominville, and I'm your reporter on the arts. Today we're going to be doing something on the language arts. I love to have authors in here. And I have a Hudson author, and I'm very pleased to welcome Keith Temple Trotter to the show. Welcome, Keith.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I truly appreciate it.
It's nice to have you. I've heard about your book, and I want to just give a little introduction if I could. Keith is the author of the blog and book series 100 Small Steps, published in 2014 by Morgan James Publishing. And this is the first book of a series, and it's for purchase now at a website, www.100smallsteps.com. We're going to put that on our screen for you too. With full domestic and international distribution in January of 2015. So I have to say, this is very current. I'm very pleased that you're here just right now in 2015.
Yeah.
Keith is also founder and CEO of Temple Global Consulting, which specializes in small to mid-sized business development and growth. Applying the same principles he brings to his clients, creating millions of dollars in cost savings, he's lost over 150 pounds and has kept the weight off for 3 years. His inspirational weight loss story has been featured on CNN.com, Healthy Living Magazine, URAwarrior.com, and on the OWN TV program, Love in the City. And is that Oprah's network?
Yes, it is.
Oh, how exciting for you.
Oh, yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Well, I'd like to start with a few questions. Tell us, where did you get the name Temple?
You know, it started out kind of as a joke around my friends because, I wanted to take the journey with my friends. You know, I wanted everyone to be healthy. It started out as a healthy enough to enjoy your vices type of thing. And so they started poking fun at me, and it was just something that stuck. And people started calling me Temple. And then when we started doing radio shows, people picked up on the Temple name, and it's just fitting.
All right, well, perfect. Now, here's your book, and I'd like you to tell us about it now, if you would, please.
Sure. You know, the book actually started off as a journal. When I first started this process, I was used to journaling, so I wrote down the things that made sense to me. And a friend of mine came to me and said, hey, this could probably be a blog, so you should probably turn what you're putting in your journal into a blog for a couple of different reasons. One, now you can't lose your journals if it's in a blog, and you can update it and you can change it. And also, because I wanted to do something that would hold me publicly accountable for the things that I said I was going to do, and people started reading the blog, that was another way for me to get the job done. So it went into a blog, and then one of my readers came to me later on and said, CNN has an iReport section, and they talk about weight loss all the time. So you should submit a story to CNN. So I submitted the story to CNN, and it took off. We call it getting legs. It got legs and started walking on its own.
Wonderful.
And at the same time, someone else had come to me and said, this could be a book. So I had started the process of creating a query so that I could query publishing houses and agents. So the day that the CNN decided to transform my iReport into a feature story, I got a letter from Morgan James saying that I had passed into the acquisitions editor's desk. Ooh. So I was very excited about that. So I just sent them an advance copy of the CNN report, and I got a call back that afternoon saying, congratulations, you're a Morgan James author. So it really happened very quickly. And a year later, here we are, 100 Small Steps is published and in bookstores all over the world.
That's amazing. So would you say that was the catalyst for the journey?
The catalyst for the journey actually was this picture showing up in my Facebook timeline, the before picture that's on the book. So it was devastating to me to see that is how I was projecting myself to the rest of the world. That is how the rest of the world saw me.
Right.
At 386 pounds.
Wow. Now, did you set goals for yourself? And if so, how did you do that?
Well, once again, I knew after I'd gotten over being very angry about kind of being outed as the fat guy kind of deal, I just took a step back and went back to what I know. What I know is operational efficiency. That's what I know. That's what I do. So how do I figure out and take the same skills that I use in my career and apply them to myself? And that's one of the things that, I'm amazed about, how we develop these skills and we can apply them in certain situations, but in our personal lives, it's almost as if we don't know them anymore. We don't understand how to get things done. So I took those same skill sets and just applied them to myself, and I set small goals.
Okay.
And I made sure that when I accomplished those goals, I celebrated them, no matter how small they were. And that was part of the steps in 100 Small Steps. Celebrate the small victories and continue to build on them. So that's how I built my goals. One small goal at a time, continuing to build and build and build. And then finally, at the end of a month, I'd have a large goal that I had already accomplished.
That's a good way to do it. And I've always said small steps, no matter what I'm trying to accomplish. It doesn't get done in a day, but one has to pace oneself. And what I really liked was when you were talking about the psychological aspect to weight loss. Could you elaborate on that?
Well, the first book is Think Right. It's all about the psychological aspects of weight loss. If your mind isn't set up for success, your body will not follow. That's just the be all. You'll start off well, but you'll get discouraged fast. So one of the things that the very first step in the book is know why you're doing it. And you have to know within yourself why you're doing it. It can't be anything external. So people say, oh, I need to get healthy for the children. Well, the children will get grown and they will leave the house and that circumstance will change. Well, I need to, so you can't put your why on someone else. Your why has to come from within you. There's power in understanding where that why comes from, and you should embrace it.
Well, I'm kind of taking some of this home for me too, because I've had a little struggle with weight, and I have people around me in my family that have struggled. So I'm finding this very interesting, but how do you get the psychological part to work for you? I don't quite understand. If you're reading the book, and then are you telling us you have to make different steps, so you've got to set some goals, right?
You do have to set some goals, absolutely.
And maybe one or two, or how do you work that out?
In the book, it's actually set up quite easy for you to follow. So the first section in each one of the steps, the first section is what the experts say.
Oh, okay.
The experts say X, X, and X. And then the next portion of it is how I did it. So
I like that.
So once again, going back to the original journals section of it, I wrote down in my journals things that made sense to me and things that worked. Then once I converted it to a blog, I started doing scientific research to see if anyone else had the same epiphanies, if there was anything that backed up what I had actually gone through in my own journey. So it starts off, here's what the experts say. Here's how I did it. And then at the end of most of the steps, I have a question section where it actually asks you, for example, when I think step 2 is remove food in your house that has the word diet, low fat, or low calorie in it. And part of the psychological piece of that is the food may be low fat and low calorie, but the trick of the trade is when they take the fat out, they increase the sugar.
Oh, really?
Right, because fat is the flavor. That's where you get the flavor from. So in order to put the flavor back into the food, they increase the sugar and they increase the sodium. So when you think that you're actually eating healthy food and eating smaller calories, you're actually eating more food because of the way your mind works. Your mind says, oh, hey, this food says low fat and low calorie. So you know what? I can eat more of that food. And actually, you're eating 25% more on average. Your caloric intake has gone up 25% more because of the psychological aspects. So one of the things that I came to was food is fuel, no more, no less. So even if it says low fat, low calorie, low sodium, I treat that food exactly the same as any other food, and I eat the same amount.
That's very valuable.
It is. It
I
was
mean,
very
just to
valuable me, yeah.
realize that, because, you know, once in a while I'll have a low fat, high energy bar, and I'll think, oh, I'm doing so well today. But it might have more sugar.
It might have more sugar
Might be
in it.
addicting me that way.
And sugar, studies have shown that sugar is actually the greatest drug on earth.
Oh, boy, I know that. I love my sugar. That I can identify, but I can't get rid of that need for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So that's a journey in itself.
Food is fuel, no
Yeah.
more, no less.
To reject the food that is always taking me in, and, you know, it's like almost a daily thing. Have a cookie. But how can you stop at one? So those are very valuable. Now, almost every other day I pick up a magazine and it's got a diet plan in it.
Yeah.
And I read through some of that, and I read through the recipes, and of course then they've always got the stars, lost weight, and this one and that one. And I don't know, I just don't see that as very appealing to me.
Well, you know, nowhere in the book do I talk about diet plans.
Ooh.
In the book, it's all about how you live your life and live your life aware. The food industry has spent billions of dollars to get you to work on autopilot. You know, and one of the things that, you know, I ask people when I talk or when I coach, I ask people, well, when's the last time you were able to walk into a store and make an immediate left turn? You can't. You cannot.
No.
You cannot walk into a store and
Doesn't
make
work.
a left turn. It doesn't work. You're going to run into a bank or the cash registers, you know, or something
I'm
like
thinking
that.
of one of the stores in Hudson right now, and you're exactly right.
And that's done on purpose. And the things that you usually want, the milk, the eggs, you know, all of the things that you want are in the opposite corner of the store. But you can't.
Farthest away.
If you can't just walk straight to those items. You have to walk around the entire store in order to get to the items that you want.
You're exactly right.
So, and that's done on purpose, and that's
Yes.
done so that you're working on autopilot, and you're oh, I see, oh yes, that looks nice. I'll put that in the basket, and I'll put that in the basket, and I'll put that in the basket. You know, and by the time you get to the things that you really came to the store to get, the
Right.
milk, the eggs, the cheese, you've got half a basket full of things that you
Exactly.
did not intend to purchase, and that's done on purpose.
Exactly.
You know, and then that coupled with the fact that we don't use cash anymore for the most part to buy groceries.
right.
We use our credit cards. Studies have shown that you are much more likely to make poorer choices as far as nutrition is concerned about the fuel that you're putting in your body because you're using that card. So one of the things that I did was I put myself on cash rations because there's pain in watching that cash actually change hands as opposed to someone is swiping a card. That's part of the psychological aspect of how to live better, how to do better, and how to eat better. Because when you're paying cash for it, you're much more cognizant about the fuel,
Well, true.
you know, and how far
Yes.
that cash has got to go.
Definitely.
You know, like I ran out of cash on Thursday one too many times, and, and that was it.
I totally get that, because often, almost every time I go to the store, we're talking groceries now, it's $100 or more. And I may have only gone there for 3, 4, 5 items. But of course, as I'm walking around the store, I'm adding more and more and more.
More, yep.
So I have to say, this is very valuable. I especially like the part you said, you're not concerned so much with the weight loss as making the person think about their own health and wellness.
Exactly.
So that's very valuable, because that's going to spill into other areas too.
Absolutely.
mean, how many people are ridiculed for weight and they don't feel very good about themselves. So you really have to build up the person too, and then
Yes.
go from there.
Yes, absolutely. And
So obviously this works.
I'm glad you brought that up, because at part of the book, one of the other studies that I did research on, it showed a direct correlation between weight gain and depression.
Oh, yes.
So if you are overweight or obese, you have a 58% greater likelihood that you'll become depressed. And if you're depressed, you have a 55% greater likelihood that you will become overweight or even eventually obese over time.
Yes.
So the way that we look at ourselves, and like I said, when I saw that picture in my Facebook timeline, I was absolutely devastated. I never thought of myself
It's shocking.
as morbidly obese. That person is more than just fat. That person is depressed. That person is in bondage. That person has issues that need to be worked through in order to make sure that the weight comes off your body. So for me, this journey wasn't just about trying to look good. This journey was about trying to be a better person.
Well, that is just an excellent goal. I can see why this all works. Now, a couple other things. Is exercise important in this weight loss?
Absolutely, but not necessarily having to join a gym. I was not about to take my 386-pound frame
Oh, yeah.
into...
That wouldn't work well.
I wasn't about to do that. So,
No. And I'd be embarrassed.
Exactly.
I think that would be hard for me
Exactly.
to go to a gym and then start to exercise when I'm overweight.
Well, I was obese, morbidly obese. So
I hate to use that word, so I'm trying to avoid it.
I understand, but it was the reality of my life at that point in time.
Well, I understand, and I'm sure it affects every family.
Absolutely.
Because I remember, some of my great aunts and so on. Oh, they were wonderful cooks, but they also were pretty overweight. And so I think a lot of families deal with this. So it's really a good, it would be a wonderful goal. And I like that we're talking about this the first week of February.
There you go.
Because this is a great time for people to start, bettering themselves and maybe look into weight loss and so on. And then some of us like to do things during Lent too. So that could be a goal for, if you kind of want to do that sort of thing. I'm very interested in it. So now, what was the hardest part of all this for you?
Step one.
Step one.
It was step one.
Yeah.
So there are 100 steps. That's why it's called.
Wow, that's a lot of steps.
100 small steps, and the first 33 steps are about the psychological aspect of weight loss.
Okay.
And I wrote 1 through 33. I wrote 1 kind of in concept.
Yeah.
And I had to actually write the other 99 steps and come back to step 1 because I hadn't fully figured out my why.
Well, that does make sense. You have to go through a little more of it to look back and maybe tweak it a little.
And understand
I
the
think
why.
that's
Absolutely.
okay, very good. Now, what kind of things can you eat? Or does it not matter what they are? It's the amount.
Exactly. Yeah. It's being aware.
Yeah.
Being active, much more active.
Right. You can't just sit there and be a couch potato.
Exactly.
No.
And I didn't, and I tell people all the time, there were certain things, like I had a big thing for honey buns. I loved honey buns. And, so honey buns were my go-to snack for everything. If I had a great day, I deserve a honey bun. If I had a bad day, I need to have a honey bun, or, if I had a mediocre day, hey, it was honey bun time, so that was one of the things. And I knew I had turned the corner with honey buns. I wrote in my journal, I really need a honey bun, because it's not about depriving yourself.
True.
So I didn't want to deprive myself, but I just made sure that if I had a honey bun on one day, I didn't have it the next day and the next day, or maybe even 2 in that same week. It was just about the quantity of honey buns I was taking into my body, right?
Right.
So I wrote it in my journal. and I'm not very sure of the times anymore. I used to be very sure of the times, but I wrote in the journal, need a honey bun, I'm going to have a honey bun. And then the very next line under that was, honey buns are overrated.
So you're kind of doing a psychological thing on yourself.
On yourself, right. When you open your mind and open your heart up to be vulnerable to yourself, that's one of the other things. We live in such a judging and shaming society.
Oh, yes.
And we do it to ourselves. We forget to have empathy for ourselves.
Yes.
So it actually takes effort for you to stop judging and stop shaming and actually have empathy for yourself and give yourself a break sometimes.
Okay. I think that's good.
And that is part of the psychological journey, learning to love yourself again,
Yes.
learning to care for yourself,
Yeah.
so that you can care for your health and wellness and the people around you.
Okay. Now, I'm really interested after what you've said. You're really drawing me in here. So now, there's several more things, but what was it like? Did you meet Oprah?
No, I didn't get a chance to.
Oh, you didn't. But what kind of a show is that? Love in the City? I don't know what that is.
It was about four young women who were very successful in their various fields. Chenoa Maxwell is she's a celebrity photographer. Brashan Shaw is a 2-time breast cancer survivor, and she goes around the world speaking to women in women's groups about breast cancer. Kaya Wright is a celebrity hairdresser, and Tiffany, I forget Tiffany's last name, was Brashan's best friend at the time. So it was their journey talking about their various craft, living in New York at the time and being young women. So Brashan Shaw runs the You Are a Warrior program, and she saw my story.
Right.
And invited me to write something for the You Are a Warrior website, and I did a video for the You Are a Warrior website. And then they flew me out to New York to shoot the finale for the show.
Oh, that's wonderful. What experiences you get to have, and how nice that you could be sharing something so positive. So what do you think are the keys to your success in all this? And then how do you recommend it to someone to begin this journey?
Okay. Well, there are 5 keys that I've come up with when people ask me about that, because you can't go through all 33 steps, right?
No. So
the 5 keys are: 1, know why you're doing it. And we've talked about that a lot. That's actually probably the most difficult aspect of it all, and that's going to take the most of your time. The second key is to invite positive energy into your life. Once again, as we know, we live in a very judgmental, very shaming society, and we need to be able to throw those things off and invite new positive energy and new positive people into our lives. And that's also very difficult, because you have to have some difficult conversations with people at that point in time. And I did. And I lost a couple of friends along the way due to those very difficult conversations.
Yes.
And number 3 is, it's going to hurt. Get over it. I was 386 pounds.
Yes.
I didn't get to be 386 pounds overnight. There's no way I was going to lose that kind of weight. I did not want to go through any types of surgeries or or quick fix diets. I wanted to do it the right way, so that it could be sustainable. And that's what the book is about. The book is about sustainable, transformative change and how to actually manage that process. So, tough love for yourself, have empathy for yourself, but tough love for yourself. Please realize it's going to hurt. You're going to have to get over it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Absolutely. Number 4 is partner with professionals. Go see your doctor. Get counseling if you need to get counseling. As a young man, I've always felt that I've had the big Superman S on my chest, and nothing can happen to me, and I'm going to live forever. But that's not necessarily reality. You actually have to partner with your professionals, know your numbers, and make sure that when something hurts, you get seen about it, and that includes your heart. That includes your heart. Go seek that counseling. Get yourself ready for the life that's ahead of you. And the last key would be held accountable. And once again, accountability is not judgment and shame. Accountability is how we partner with our friends and loved ones and professionals to accomplish goals. And if you're having an accountability session with your boss or your children or your wife or whomever, if you're having an accountability session and you both don't leave that session empowered to go do what needs to be done, you did it wrong.
Oh, okay. No, that's very good, and you do need support, so I can see that working a lot better. Now, tell me about your ideas for the next 2 books.
Well, the first book is about the psychological aspect. The
Right.
second book is about eating, because in my research there were some things that I found out about how the food industry works, and how far up the chain it actually goes, that were shocking to me. So I'm going to share those items in book 2, and then book 3 is about exercising for people like myself, people who are
Right.
obese. I wasn't about to get up and go to the gym every day. I was too ashamed to do that, unfortunately. But I found ways to be active around the house and exercises that you could do around the house that really did help a lot. So those are the next books.
That sounds very good. Both of those books are going to be very valuable. Now, I realize that your book is in a paperback, and it's 124 pages, and it costs $12.95. Very reasonable. Looking ahead, when might the other books come out?
We haven't set a date yet.
You haven't set a date.
We haven't set a
Kind
date.
of hard to do that, isn't it? Now, where can we buy your book?
You can buy the book pretty much anywhere in the world at this point in time. For people right here in Hudson, the book is on the shelf at Chapter 2 Books.
Oh, yes.
Right around the corner here. I will actually be signing books at Chapter 2 Books Friday from 6 to 8, and then they'll have books on the shelf after that. Otherwise, you can go to Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, Goodreads. I actually just got back from Chicago. I did a book signing event in the Chicago area for Barnes & Noble, so that was exciting.
Oh, that could be really opening a lot of areas for you.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I love Barnes & Noble. Great, great store. Now, you just mentioned a little bit ago that you're planning to start some coaching.
Absolutely. Some health and wellness coaching. I've partnered with UCare to do, because I am diabetic, and I volunteer with the American Diabetes Association from time to time. And we did some radio spots for Ampers for diabetes control that was sponsored by UCare. And the suggestion was made that I should go into health and wellness coaching. So we're going to be starting that process in the next couple of months here.
And then you're on Facebook, I know, and you have a website. So are those the best ways to contact you if someone should want to?
Absolutely.
From our audience?
Yep. If you want to get in contact with me, you can go to www.100smallsteps.com and you go to the contact page, and you can send me information there. If you would like to read the blog, it's 100smallstepsblog.com.
Oh, yes.
And you can also follow me on Twitter at Temple Trotter.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's very good. I have a feeling that we might get some feedback on this show, that people might want to be talking to you. So I hope so. Have we forgotten anything? I told you I would give you a little chance at the end if you wanted to, elaborate on anything.
You know what? I think we covered it all.
Okay. Well, that's good then. I'm glad.
Awesome.
Because I certainly don't want to forget any of this. And I just think it's been a wonderful interview with you.
Well,
I have
thank you for having
learned
me.
a lot, and I love the way you set your goals. And I do want to thank our audience for watching today. And if you need to get in contact, we'll give you some information on the screen. And we are hopeful that you'll be watching this very soon. Thank you.